what now? So it's really beginning to live in the eternal present. Because beyond the mind region of creation, there is no mind, there is no time. Time and death go hand in hand. The name, the short name of the ruler of the three realms, the physical, the astral, and the causal, which the name is called, K-A-L, which really means time and death.
When you look at why we're here and what our purpose is, and I don't want to use money as a barometer of success, but would you say that people who have seemed to have made a lot of money, a fortune in their endeavors, whether it was Jeff Bezos with Amazon or Elon Musk with his work and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, and people who are creative and develop things, but would you say that most of them would fit the key of the book, A New Now?
Most of them would, I'm sorry, I missed one word.
Would they fit into that book as part of their success?
They could. I mean, each of them has their own individual trajectory, and they created these new entities and enormous riches for various reasons. We really don't know. I mean, somebody becomes a spiritual master, either they came down with that, and it was just like lighting a match to a huge haystack, or they started at a certain place and grew into it. But really, A New Now is for everyone who wants to really have a heightened consciousness, who wants to make best use of their life. The sad fact is, we don't know what our actions were in the past. We don't know if we went on a killing spree and, murdered 29 people. I mean, we used to have a rash of mass killings. Well, every action begets a reaction. And, the bad actions seek to redress as well as the good actions. I mean, there are people who've been totally selfless and gone to poor countries and helped people enormously. And, there are some people who are rewarded with a stay in a so-called heaven. I mean, all the inner regions that you gain when you do soul and mind travel, seem like heaven. But people can earn their own, what I call bespoke heaven. And they may be there for a seeming eternity. But eventually, they have this huge pile of debt, which, Eastern mystics call karma, which is, basically action, and they have to come back to fulfill that. So it's just pure physics, the law of action and reaction.
How important is reincarnation to this?
Well, it's essential. I mean, it's going to happen, and a lot depends on how you act in this life. And that's why we want to gain predominance over our lower minds, which we talked about in the first segment. You want to empower your higher mind. And that's what A New Now does. I mean, most of us have done mean things and done things we regret. You don't know if you're going to come back as a human. We talked a lot about that in our previous shows. I mean, when I was a skunk, when I was a wild dog, that wasn't much fun. But so many of my human lives, I suffered enormously. And I don't want to bring that back on myself. Now, the higher levels of existence, which you can experience here and now. I mean, the human body is an inestimable gift. Now, all these wonderful creative people you mentioned who are making the world a much better place, but not in all cases, they can't take $1 with them when they die.
That's right.
Maybe their desires to have wealth, that's going to inform some reincarnation down the road. But really, the only thing you can take with you is your love and devotion for higher power, for the ultimate source of being. So if you have this ardent desire to rejoin, to reunite, let's call it the ocean of love, that's the highest state of being that has no name, that is sheer wonder and love. If that is your most ardent desire, you are a seeker, and you will find that ultimate end of infinity.
Michael, during World War II, General George Patton believed that it was his destiny to do what he did. Now, you write about destiny. Is that one of the same things we're talking about here? Your destiny and his?
Well, I mean, you can't really be born without destiny. You're born
without it.
Yeah, I mean, each of us has a destiny to go through. It's basically, it's called your beloved karmas, and this is a set of karmas that are drawn from your senship karmas. These are Sanskrit words. So senship means your reserva karmas. Remember, I was talking about us, living life after life. And if you kill, 1,000 chickens, that's going to create reactions. If you commit 1,000 wonderful acts of kindness, each of those are reactions that handle these returns in this life. It's just really mystical physics. So, so these are all karmas. It's the law of action and reaction. And pralad karma, your destiny karma, is what you're meant to go through. So General Patton, he was working through a certain destiny. I mean, people become famous who you wonder, why did this actor, meet this person who has in this role and that role, and someone who's actually much more talented remains undiscovered. It's all part of your pralad karma, your destiny. But you can create, but you're also creating karmas that are going to become part of a future destiny.
Do you bring in helpers, the spirit guides, into your thought process?
I sure do. I mean, I exist always with, what I consider the highest spirit guide anyone can find, and that's someone who's gone beyond mind and Maya. That's mind and an illusion, really. Maya is illusion. So, I mean, the thing is, if you remember we talked about withdrawing your consciousness through the eye center and reaching your third eye, and then you're beginning to go into the astral region. If we think of our universe as being vast, it's like, as I said, from God's vantage point, the highest supreme power, it's like bubbles forming and popping way, 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 hundreds of miles away in the distance. I mean, our physical creation is nothing compared to the higher realms of creation. And this is available to any human.
Does a new now make you a better person?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to make you kinder and gentler. But more important, it's going to empower your nobler self. And it's going to really rocket fuel your search for gaining your mastery over your mind. We've been led astray by our lower mind through ages. We've committed sins, and sin is basically meaning to go against the laws of nature, to cause pain. If you're killing somebody, if you've got a handsaw and they're roped down and you're sawing through their neck, they're causing a lot of pain. And you're going to have, it's creating karma, which we talked about before, and you're going to have to come back and pay that off somehow. Now, there are paths of meditation where you can rejoin let's just call it the God current. It's just really a focused God current. And meditating on that, you can cleanse yourself of all these actions and reactions, these karmas you've accumulated through countless lives, and purify yourself to go higher and higher beyond mind. I mean, each of us we wouldn't be alive if it weren't for our souls. So each of us has a living, divine, always living spark of divine within us. That's our soul. It's the drop of the internal ocean of being.
Have you come up with the rationale of why we're here in the first place?
Well, there are certain, there's different stories that have come across, from saints. It's sort of like God, or whatever you want to call the supreme being, wanted to play a game of love with himself. So he sent, souls, he had souls to come down, and many souls willingly came. But, the stories through advanced mystics through the ages say that 1/9 of the souls didn't want to leave their ocean of bliss of being. And those souls are the marked souls. You know, remember Jesus said, I come for my sheep, so don't know when I whistle. He had 12 disciples. Well, God is an equal opportunity God. I mean, always on a planet there is at least one fully enlightened master, or call them a saint, a mystic adept, that adheres for his or her allotted number of sheep. They know when she'll whistle. And so certain of us are meant to begin our journey back in this lifetime. And you may be one of them. But the point is, I mean, the ultimate God is all love and forgiveness. So even though if you're not marked, if you're part of that huge, beyond infinite number of souls who came down, those 8 nines, if you harbor this ardent desire to return to God, you can. That can become your new now. I mean, our world is filled with so much strife and friction and sex, worrying, and
way too much, Michael.
And we don't have to live like that. We're meant for higher things.
What did you mean by call of the seeker?
The call of the seeker, which I lived through, I mean, this is why I began my mystical journey at the age of 10. The call of the seeker is to find something higher and better. It's to find the ultimate love. I mean, it's wonderful to be fascinated by all the phenomena in the world. Well, I want to open people's eyes to what is within them. Each of us is a sleeping God. And saints don't come here to perform miracles. They come here for their sheep, to initiate those who are meant to return to the Godhead.
And groom your destiny.
Yes, groom your destiny is a really fabulous wisdom I write about in A New Now. And basically, you know, we're here. There are 4 really options. There's 4 options you can have. You can just live as if there's no tomorrow, just paying off.
With your head in the sand, right?
Yeah, your head in the sand, or your head in somebody's butt, or in some call. I'm sorry, that just somehow came out of me. But you can just live as if there's no tomorrow, which is fine. But you're caught in the web of time, so you will be coming back to tomorrow. Or you can choose to live with a goal in mind. I mean, there are so many gifted musicians and writers out there who may not make it, where you can groom your destiny by, you know, forming the desire to, you know, write the most beautiful, uplifting music possible. I mean, someone like Mozart didn't just happen out of the blue. I mean, he came in. All these great people, I mean, Descartes came in with this built-in ability.
Were they special? Where did the abilities come from?
Well, it came through training, and also came through work between lives. I mean, the reason, one reason I was able to recover so many lives is that for this lifetime, I did special work to be able to transcend time. I mean, I was able to go back hundreds of thousands of years more readily than I could, you know, go back in this lifetime.
That's amazing. Michael, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and talk more about A New Now and take phone calls next on Coast to Coast AM.
Find out more about tonight's guest. Log on to coasttocoastam.com.
Without spending hours at car dealerships? Download the Roto app. That's R-O-D-O. You can browse thousands of vehicles from your phone, buy a car in minutes, and even have it delivered. Plus, Roto finds every discount available, so you know you're always getting the best price, with no hidden fees. Listen, if you're ready to buy a car, make it easy on yourself and go with Roto. Download the Roto app now or check out roto.com. That's ROTO.com.
Before I started Ritter Hero Plumbing, I was an angry young man. Hello, I'm John McClellan. I was angry because my dad died when I was 17 and he left me alone. I was angry because I couldn't go to college with my friends and because I had to drop out of high school. It's not a pleasant story. But as I grew older, I also grew up. I realized that my dad didn't leave me alone. He left me with values and principles that continue to shape my life. Dad said, be on time. He didn't like it when people were late. He taught me to be polite. It was something I lost, but recaptured along the way. And he taught me to keep my promises, because broken promises lead to broken relationships. We teach and keep these values at Rooter Hero Plumbing. I think we have a pretty good company. I know we have great people. And if one of our heroes fails to live up to these values, please call me. My private number is on the back of every Rooter Hero business card. You can also reach us at rooterhero.com. Thank you.
The Delta variant is making COVID-19 spread faster and more easily. Variants can be more contagious, aggressive, and deadly. But we know vaccines work. Vaccinated Californians have greater protection against serious illness, hospitalization, and death. We can help stop the spread and end this pandemic. Get vaccinated and wear a mask when it can protect you and others. Find a vaccine near you at myturn.ca.gov. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
We go through all the that's going on so that we can tell you just that you need to know. KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County.
It's time for your morning wake-up call. Here's Jennifer Jones-Lee.
I have an idea. How about we just start today with the good news? And then we'll just leave it at that. After that, you guys could call in, we could just chat about stuff. We don't need to do the bad news. Dodgers win. Dodgers win. That's all we're going to talk about. All right, fine. Robin and Chris, if you're listening, I'm kidding. Even though that's really what I want to do. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Welcome to Wednesday. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee. Yes, Dodgers are back in the winner's circle. They had a come from behind win in Game 3 of the National League Championship Series against the Braves. We'll talk more about the game in just a second. LA City Councilman Mark Ridley Thomas is scheduled to be arraigned this afternoon in federal court on 20 corruption charges. And Governor Newsom has extended California's drought emergency statewide. 5:05, we'll talk with ABC's Karen Travers. Now, you've probably heard the president of the NAACP talk to the Washington Post, and he said he's upset with the Biden administration's lack of urgency when it comes to shoring up voting rights. And actually, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said they agree. They agreed there needs to be more urgency. But still, it looks like Republicans in the Senate are not going to go for this Freedom to Vote Act. But is there any language that could maybe be changed that could get some sort of bipartisan support? We'll find out when we talk with Karen in just a few minutes. Well, let's start with some of these stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The LA City Council will decide if Councilman Mark Ridley Thomas will be suspended over his indictment on corruption charges.
The motion at yesterday's weekly meeting was presented by Council President Nuri Martinez with a second by President Pro Tem Mitchell Farrell. The motion included a statement that read in part, a council member who's been charged with public corruption cannot continue to exercise the powers of city office and preserve public trust. This afternoon, Ridley Thomas is also scheduled to be arraigned on the 20-count indictment. The hearing will be via a Zoom call, and the U.S. Attorney's Office said Ridley Thomas won't have to surrender to agents since he's agreed to attend the virtual hearing. Steve Gregory, KFI News.
The LA County Board of Supervisors has voted to hire an outside firm to look at past contracts and transactions. The motion was presented because of the 20-count indictment against Mark Ridley Thomas, who was supervisor in 2017-2018 at the time when the alleged crimes happened. Now, the outside firm will have the ability to decide on suspicious activity. Some critics say the county should ask the state attorney general or the FBI to conduct a forensic audit. Governor Newsom has extended California's drought emergency statewide. He's asking people to conserve water even as more of the western U.S. could see a third dry year. Now, this past August was the driest and hottest on record since the reporting began, and the water year that ended last month was the second driest on record. Oh, look at you, Dodgers. right back there in the winner's circle where you should be. It was a come-from-behind win in Game 3 of the National League Championship Series. They beat the Braves 6-5 yesterday. Mookie Betts doubled in the game-winning run in the 8th inning. Atlanta leads the series 2-1. Game 4 is tonight back at Dodger Stadium. LAPD Chief Moore says the shooting of a detective led to a local gang getting busted for making ghost guns. He says a 14-year-old boy, 14 years old, was arrested for the shooting of the detective last week outside the Newton Division Police Station. He used a ghost gun allegedly made by the gang at a tattoo parlor. Police busted the operation Monday night. LA City workers could have 2 more months to comply with the city's COVID-19 vaccination requirement. The city administrative officer has proposed giving workers until December 18th to show proof of vaccination, but unvaccinated employees would have to be tested twice a week until then, with $65 per test taken from their paycheck. Employees asking for an exemption would also be required to take 2 tests per week at the employee's expense, while the city processes the exemption request. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk with Nick Yosini about what's up with the South 101 and Karen Travers, all about the voting, the Freedom to Vote Act. Is there any way we should get bipartisan support? We'll find out. Nick, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. It's good to hear your voice, and it's good to be here.
Thank you so much,
I was going to say, it is good to have you back either way. That's the best
Thank
part.
you. I'm coming back. Every day's a little bit stronger.
Yes, that's all good. Tea, lemon, and honey, like we talked about earlier.
Are you oddly here in the studio with me? That's exactly what's in my Yeti this
Oh, there we go. I love it. Checking out the drive jam in Hollywood. Just on side of the 101 in Normandy. 2 or 3 cars involved in a wreck. Looks like it is a left lane that we shut down, and that's going to be a rough ride for you. First thing, coming away from the Santa Monica Boulevard is midway toward Normandy Melrose. Further southbound on the 101 toward downtown and the 110. Looks like a better drive. If you have an update on this or anything else going down, pound 250 on the cell phone, keyword KFI traffic, westbound side up to 91, Riverside to Corona. As per usual, you know the drill. It's going to be heavy stretches of slowing for the drive, 91 westbound, starting from before La Sierra, and you'll see those delays continuing past Green River as you head toward the 241 toll road. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick Yosini.
506 on your wake-up call, Kfi Am 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Karen Travers, good morning to you. So let's talk about the Freedom to Vote Act. We know that the president of the NAACP is very upset with Congress. Something through. And is there any wiggle room yet? It kind of seems like Republicans have dug in and said, no way we're going to pass this thing. And the Democrats seem to be saying, hey, we're trying to get something through. Is there any way we could find some language they both could agree on?
It's not going to happen today. So today the vote is on the Freedom to Vote Act, which is a revised version, scaled back version of the Democrats' original voting rights bill. They did this after Republicans had blocked their initial sweeping voter reform bill, so they had to take another crack at it to see if there were things that Republicans could get on board with. That is not going to happen today. Mitch McConnell told us yesterday that his hope and anticipation is that not a single Republican will vote to move forward on this second piece of legislation, which means that's it. They need 60 votes in the Senate to move forward, and if you don't have 10 Republicans, it's not happening. And the next question then is, well, what about carving out a filibuster exemption? So you don't need those Republicans on board with this. They don't have Democratic support for that. So that's kind of the next step, and where it will be blocked again. So Manchin, Kristen Sinema, they're indicating they do not support dealing with the filibuster rules for legislation, even on something like this. So we'll see how this plays out today, but as you mentioned, the White House has been taking a lot of heat for this, a lot of criticism that they have not prioritized it. They have not put it front and center, and maybe the president could get more in the spotlight